the Irish guy. And right, so that was part 1 of Premier League Gameweek 21. Right? There are only 5 games of football this weekend, but you know the drill. If I didn't get at least one correct prediction this game week, then I would be stealing my neighbor's wheelie bin and emptying the rubbish all over my head. So, let's just see what happened then, shall we? Right, let's go. Burnley 1, Luton 1. Play the clip.
Burnley 1, Luton 1. See, I reckon this could be a result that helps nobody. Burnley will take an early lead through Sunderberg, be seconds away from carving out an important win before an absolute thunderbolt from Ross Barkley. 1-1.
Well, this is all sorts of strange. For the past few weeks, I always seem to get my one correct prediction after an hour after I publish the video. I seem to be getting lucky on Friday nights, and not in a Harvey Weinstein way. My predictions always seem to be stronger at the start of the weekend. Nah, lads, I said this game would be a 1-1 draw. Here's the thing though. I am luckier than a blind mouse which managed to survive 15 years living in the jungle. By all rights, that poor little rat should have been eaten by a tiger many years ago. But guys, this should not have been a 1-1 draw. I shouldn't have got this one right. Lads, if Vincent Kompany's patience is being tested more than my mother's when I used to weep up the kitchen walls, I feel like the Premier League chiefs just keep prodding and poking him to see when this usually calm and sane, dignified legend is going to snap. How much more of this is going to take before we turn this mild-mannered gentleman into a raving lunatic who's now running through the streets of Burnley with an axe? Because this was such a crucial match. If Burnley had won this game, they would have moved to within a point of safety. It's like that scene in the horror film when she escapes the masked psycho killer's lair and is literally meters from the front door, only for her to then trip over a cup of tea. That was Burnley. Zeki Abdouni had given Burnley a comfy first half lead. They were hanging on until the final minutes, and then Carlton Morris bundles in a last minute Luton equaliser. Here's why this goal was uncomfortable on many levels. Somebody even pointed it out in his post-match interview rant. No Luton player celebrated. This is a do or die relegation 6-pointer. The away team have just snatched a last minute equaliser, and the players barely had smiles on their faces. Morris was reacting to that crucial goal as if he just found an extra lump of cabbage in his fridge. It's all a bit meh. But alright, the Luton players should have been wheeling off to celebrate in front of their fans, so excited and relieved that they all suddenly looked like a bunch of dobbies in a sock shop. But no, you know why they didn't celebrate? Because they all knew it was an illegal goal and were expecting VAR to chalk it off. After Elijah Adebayo had blocked James Trafford from collecting the ball, Adebayo is a 6'4" bloke who's probably been bench pressing his dog since he was 4. Yeah, the guy with 66 letters in his huge name. And CS, I don't care if Trafford came through the Man City Academy. On the internet, he is known as Fogden's Tweet, somebody who could probably barely lift a snowman's head without help from his mum. So yes, Adebayo fouled him with ease. I don't understand how this was not ruled out. England were dumped out of Euro 2004 because John Terry fouled the Portugal goalkeeper for Sol Campbell's disallowed last-minute winner. I always thought that was the correct decision. You don't just elbow a goalie in the neck. Well, here, it's the same thing. Adebayo fouled Trafford. And VAR don't rule it out. If I'm Kompany, then right now, my brain is melting all over my toast. But not only that, I also think that Luton, bizarrely, in a weird way, were robbed. Because VAR is that looming, horrible, overbearing presence, it means that even for these dodgy goals, the Luton players couldn't really celebrate. Make no mistake about it, this is one of the most important goals of the season, and they just reacted to it as if they'd made a sandcastle at the beach. Chelsea won, Fulham 0. Whisper it quietly. But Chelsea have won 3 league games in a row ever since they lost to Brentford before Halloween. Stamford Bridge has become a bit of a fortress, scoring 4 against Man City, beating Brighton, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace and Fulham. Oh, and winning a penalty shootout against Newcastle. I know, it is the most unlikely fortress right now. You wouldn't have thought it. You'd assume that this ground is still about as intimidating as a teddy bear picnic at the park. To be fair, if those were evil monster mutant teddy bears who enjoy the taste of human flesh, then yeah, maybe it would be scary to butter your scone on a park bench. This was a good, solid derby win over Fulham. Cole Palmer slapping in yet another penalty. This man is very quickly getting a reputation as a Mario Balotelli. I mean, back in his City days, he was a frustrating ogre who was so incredibly immature. You wouldn't be shocked to hear that he still watched Ice Age or Happy Feet before he had to go to work, but he was ice cold from the penalty spot. He scored 47 of them in his life, only missing 5. And none for Man City. It always looked a little weird to me. Sergio Aguero was that guy for City. And yet, frustrating Mario, the bloke who used to set off fireworks in his toilet, he was the one on the pressure pens before, then celebrating with an ego. And similarly, Palmer is a child who strolls into Chelsea from the Manchester City reserves and barges everybody out of the way to be the penalty guy. And to be fair, he scored all 5, and he then celebrates pretending like he's on a date with an Eskimo as he's cold, Palmer. Oh, the arrogance is so sickly. You just know he grew up with Mario Balotelli posters on his wall. I mean, come on. Who calls themselves cold, Palmer. After doing that celebration, you were just begging for a plodding Fulham centre-back to try and break your legs. I mean, try and do that celebration on the Sunday League pitch. And now, trust me, you will not be leaving that ground with all your teeth still intact. You'll probably be scanning the grass until 6 p.m. for your molars. But listen, another decent win for Chelsea. Pochettino is finally getting the basics right. I always thought people screaming for him to get the sack at Chelsea was just weird. He is inheriting a lopsided, horribly mismanaged Chelsea squad. Honestly, Pochettino is going to get it right. Everton 0, Aston Villa 0. It says it all about how well Aston Villa have done this season, that they are disappointed not to win at a tough ground at Goodison Park, as it spoils them going level on points with Liverpool at the top of the league. You know what this reminds me of? 5 years ago, when high-flying Liverpool rocked up at Goodison Park, and in March 2019, they drew 0-0, which stopped them going top of the league by 2 points. It didn't feel like it at the time, but that was their Cristanbul. That was the game where they blew the title, because that was the last time they would drop points all season, and Man City ended up winning the league by a point. If they had just ground out a win at Goodison Park, Liverpool would have won a Premier League title in front of their fans. Everton liked to destroy title bids. I mean, it was them which ultimately prevented Man United winning the thing in 2012 after nicking a late 4-4 draw at Old Trafford in April. A month later, Sergio Aguero was carving himself into Premier League history. Everton liked to ruin parties. Honestly, they're a bit like that nightmare child from school who you're forced to invite to your birthday party, but you don't want to, because you know as soon as they get here, they're gonna do something weird like sneak dead spiders into the cake, or start vomiting in the goldfish tank, or I don't know, sneak into your sister's room to sniff her socks. That is what Everton do to outside title challengers. But Villa, this could be much worse, because if it wasn't for the offside flag, Abdoulaye Doucouré would have scored a last minute winner that would have really made Emery feel like chewing the inside of his mouth. But yeah, thankfully this means that Everton are still above the relegation zone by 8 points. So no milk for me. Lads, it's strange. I still find it so bizarre that the Toffees once interviewed Emery for the job just weeks after his Arsenal sack. Apparently he did hold talks to Goodison Park. Look, everything wound up getting Carlo Ancelotti at the wheel, so it probably didn't feel that disgusting to let this serial winner slip through their fingers. And let's be real, like Carlo, he would probably also have quit Everton after less than 2 years. But still, what an appointment that would have been. And it's strange because the current Toffees boss, Sean Dyche, used to be linked with Aston Villa while at Burnley. To be fair, it was 2016, and Villa were struggling championship sludge. An absolute crisis club who just endured 2 months of Roberto Di Matteo proving that, yeah, you can win the Champions League as a boss, even if you got the tactics of monkey sick. Man United 2, Tottenham 2. This was a good point for Tottenham. Remember back in November, when it looked like the wheels had fallen off Ange Ball after taking 1 point from a possible 15? It looked like Spurs were imploding, that his naive brand of football was brainless, and they were leaving themselves to be chewed apart every single week. Yeah, I mean, they have since had another nightmare game, shipping 4 at Brighton, but other than that, since that horrible run, they've won 4 league games, left Old Trafford with a point, and are now level on points with Arsenal. They're outside the top 4 on goal difference. Who saw this coming for Spurs last summer? After their hideously laughable season under Antonio Conte, their meltdown under Christian Stellini, their sale of Harry Kane, and their appointment of some big boned bloke from Scotland. Listen, I did think Postecoglou would be a good signing as a coach, but even then, I still tipped them to wind up 7th. Yeah, they're now 8 points clear of 7th, which is where Man United are rooted. This is such a missed opportunity for Erik ten Hag. Rasmus Højlund absolutely batters United into a perfect start after just 3 minutes. That should be the moment to go on and rip Spurs into scrambled egg. To be fair, as soon as that ball left his boot, I thought the poor fella had blazed the thing into row Z. He leant back more than a fat bloke on a roller coaster ride. Man United should have kicked on and made a statement here at home, but no, they sloppily let Richarlison nod in a header from a corner. Sure, Marcus Rashford restores their lead with a cold side foot finish before half-time, but 50 seconds into the second half, Rodrigo Bentancur is beating Anthony Onana at his near post. The 47th goal he's conceded this season. By rights, this guy should not have been available to even play this match. He since jumped on a private jet to join Cameroon late at the African Nations Cup. He is apparently going to be on their bench for their opening game with Guinea with his cousin. Yes, his actual cousin, Fabrice Ondoa, who plays in the 3rd division in France. He's going to be taking the gloves for this game. Remember now, Onana clashed with the Cameroon coach at the last World Cup before publicly choosing to retire. Yeah, I mean, no wonder they've granted him so much leeway in case he petulantly quits again. To think he actually spent 5 years of his life at Barcelona. Yes, actual Barcelona after being scouted from the Samuel Eto'o Academy. Weirdly, he was in the Eto'o Academy the same time that man was scoring past Manchester United in a Champions League final as a 13-year-old little boy. This fella was probably dancing on the spot as his hero stuck one past Edwin van der Sar. He is a bit like a cyborg who's being trained from an early age to want Manchester United to concede. You know what's really strange about this match though? We saw Jamie Redknapp and Roy Keane on punditry together. Does nobody remember 3 years ago when Redknapp was screaming at Keane to acknowledge how good the Tottenham players were? Keane said that he'd barely take any at Man United, which offended Jamie so much, he was shouting at Roy that Belgian centre-back Toby Alderweireld would definitely make the Man United team. Yeah, no, his next move was the Royal Antwerp, but the big talking point, Redknapp was basically trying to bully Keane into admitting that Sergio Reguilon was practically world class, and that Real Madrid choosing to let him go proved nothing. Honestly, I remember Keane's first instincts were to basically write him off as nothing special. It was only after Redknapp screamed at him that he sort of backed down and went,
"Oh yeah, no, he is a very good player."
Is he? Keane should have reminded him yesterday, because Reguilon is not wanted by either Manchester United or Tottenham anymore, and is currently in talks over a loan move to Brentford at 27 years of age. Yeah, he's not so hot anymore now, is he, Jamie? Honestly, whatever happened to Sergio Reguilon? But look, this was not a great result for Man United, but it could have been worse. Can you imagine the insufferable levels of banter from opposition fans? If Timo Werner had scored the winner on his debut, not only is he a humongous Chelsea flop, but he was someone your club had targeted to sign this very month. Watching him wheel away in celebration on the Old Trafford turf, wearing a Tottenham kit, that would have been more embarrassing for Ten Hag than if he'd been caught by tabloids watching the Barbie film 6 different times on the same day. Newcastle 2, Man City 3. This was a frighteningly good match, right? That's the narrative that's been spun everywhere in the media, but was it? What I saw was Manchester City controlling the match for 88 minutes. What made this game interesting was that, yeah, Newcastle plucked 2 wonder goals out of the blue. Remember in the Istanbul Champions League final in 2005, when AC Milan were the better team for 84 minutes, Liverpool just happened to score 3 in 6 minutes. That was sort of what happened here. Bernardo Silva flicked City into a deserved lead after 26 minutes. The champions were coasting, but then Alexander Isak scores this stupendous Thierry Henry-esque finish after a genius pass from Bruno Guimaraes. 2 minutes later, Anthony Gordon was cutting in from the left to unleash a vicious bottom corner strike right in front of Gareth Southgate. That little weasel has no excuse now if he doesn't give Gordon his first England cap before the Euros. I can only assume he's just got a lifelong phobia of Scousers. Yes, I know Gordon looks very un-FA. He's not posh, doesn't have a cool haircut like Foden, Rashford or Maddison. He looks like he belongs on the set of Shameless. Someone who probably spent his youth staring at girls from behind a KFC bin. He probably used to steal bikes and throw eggs at nursing homes on Halloween. He looks like a lovable scallywag. A rogue who probably would look weird on England duty in a shirt and tie. I'm sure he hasn't worn a tie since he was at school. He looks like he turned up to a wedding in a tracksuit, but so what? So did Wayne Rooney. And yet no outfield player has represented England more. I'm not English, but get Gordon in the squad. If not, we'll take him. But listen, this was a dominant City performance. What made it interesting was that those 2 shock Newcastle goals came from nowhere, but on comes Kevin De Bruyne, scores a solo equaliser, and then tees up young Oscar Bob for the winner. Some Norwegian child is just taking Cole Palmer's role in the squad. Although, I get that he was born and raised in Norway, but listening to Bob speak, he sounds like he grew up in a Croydon council flat. Honestly, if you were a fly on the wall, listening to a conversation between him and Liverpool misfit Fabio Carvalho, no chance to the pitch's belly button. Would you ever think they played for Norway and Portugal? They just sound like 2 school kids from Wigan, arguing over who gets the cookie in the sandwich deal at Subway. Listen, this was a wonderful moment for Bob. I'm sorry, I can't take him seriously when he's called Bob. But to be fair, you also impressed at this ground in City's League Cup defeat here in September. But again, I just don't like how City treat their kids. This man, yes, man, turns 21 years old this summer, and this is just his 8th Premier League appearance. Yes, he's getting invaluable experience being trained to play the Pep way, but in his entire career, he has got 112 minutes of Premier League football under his belt. That is less running time than an X-Men film. Ask Michael Olise if he'd have liked to have swapped places with Bob. If he had stayed at Man City, he is a sickening talent, yes, but he would probably have similar Premier League stats as Bob. Honestly, Oscar, get yourself a summer move away. A move to Newcastle would actually be perfect. But yeah, great City win, although the writing is on the wall. They are gearing up for a sensational, perfect second half of the season. Sorry lads, but they're winning this title with ease. Anyway, that's the end of the 11. What do you think? Let me know. What did you make of this game? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.